I believe we're on to three now, are we?
Yes.
At number three, Matt Miazga. And here's why. For all the stats that we took, the reason Jesus Ferreira got in first DP homegrown, right? Matt Miazga was the guy to set the trend. He was the first one I think we all can remember homegrown to big European team. Granted, it ruined his career because Chelsea is where players go to die. However, I think it was like the highest fee for a long time for a center back out of MLS. Good impact when he was here. Went over, did very well in other areas, right? When he was playing for other teams, and he did it playing in a different country every year. I mean, it was insanity. And then he came back and is on his way, likely to being a part of maybe not the men's national first team, but getting back into that picture again. So six most titles won, 10th highest fee sold, and 13th international appearance. So he's kind of been really, really decent in all of them. And I know you had him a little bit lower, but for me, what brought him that much higher, because I think originally he was right around 5, 6, 7, which I think is right around where you had him.
Mhm.
But that, like being the trendsetter, being the first one to do it and do it, I don't know if I want to say successfully because I don't think it was super successful personally, but to do it and then watch the dominoes fall, I think that's a really impressive part. So that's big for me.
Yeah, I wish I could have like maybe adjusted the fee a bit because exactly to the point you made, and it's the same thing with DeAndre Yedlin as well. The fee was just so long ago that the price just isn't fair to compare it to the prices nowadays. You know, you see Pepe move for like 16 million. And I think even if you adjusted it, Pepe's still probably like way ahead of the fee that was paid for Miazga. And I think some of that is definitely to do with the fact that defenders just don't command the same fees as strikers. But 4.6 million at the time, and to move, like I know you, yeah, we obviously love to like make fun of Chelsea a lot on here, especially because I'm a Chelsea fan. But to make the move to a club like Chelsea at the time that Miazga did it was just massive. Like it just didn't really happen at that time. So I totally get that. 100%. That's totally valid to bump him up there. Honestly, I would almost do it. I would do it as well.
All
Honestly, I mean,
right, I've convinced him.
I'm not going to. I'm going to leave my list how it is, but I think that's totally valid. And sorry, I don't want to ramble too much. I'm sure you love to ramble about Matt Miazga though, but I love the fact that he came back to MLS and immediately was just balling out again. Like he's been so good for FCC.
I think the thing that I love most about it is that we called it, right? We did a whole episode on if Matt Miazga gets back, the whole goal was to be ready for the 26 cycle, to be in the Copa America, to be in the Gold Cup, to be in that group, and he's done it. Do we know ball?
This is what more guys should do. This is I know we were talking about this when we were talking about the summer transfer window for MLS.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Hoppy and Giochini, like making, although I don't know if Giochini started in MLS, but making that move to MLS when maybe you're kind of getting stuck in Europe is huge. Like it's just like you can take a big step forward again and get your confidence up, get back into the mix in the national team, even if it's not with the first team. Like I would not be surprised at all to see Giochini getting some reps in with like maybe a B team in the national team now because he's been balling out for St. Louis.
MLS is not a place where international careers die anymore. It used to be. I think we all can understand that and agree with that. And pretending it wasn't is ignorant. The world champions who just won the World Cup 6 months ago just had three MLS players in their team for their World Cup qualifiers. This wasn't a friendly, a January camp. These were World Cup qualifiers that they had MLS players in. Every nationality is bringing in tons and tons and tons of international players. It's not silly. It's not smart. It is silly to try and ignore that because Europe. But that's just me. We won't go on that tangent. We do have to talk about two more players, and hopefully, we only have to talk about one more disagreement.
Yeah, I still have to give my number three. So I will
That's
quickly
right,
go
you
through
do.
my number three. It'll be fast because at three, I've got DeAndre Edlin, not too
Okay.
far off of where you had him.
Yeah, pretty close.
He's the first guy that I remember getting that jump to Europe. Obviously, there's guys that did it before him, and we've talked about it I feel like a number of times as we've gone talking through MLS history and different top 10 lists that we've done. But I started following in around 2015, I think, around maybe a little bit later than that. I dipped my toes into the water around 2015, started really following, I think, around 2017. But I remember DeAndre Yedlin as being like the guy, the first young guy for me that was able to get that move overseas and to be able to move to a Premier League team, and not just like a top 6 Premier League team. That blew my mind. I was like, that's crazy. Like, this guy's a baller. Like, that's amazing. Like, nowadays we look at it and we're like, guys are moving left and right to top teams in Europe, and it's like it almost takes away the specialness of it. But I
Correct.
mean, obviously I like it a lot, but Yedlin's impact as a homegrown, I think, is it cannot be understated. Um, he has still about 10,000 minutes in MLS. Um, as I mentioned before, got the move to Tottenham. To be able to move to a Big Six team in the Premier League is massive, especially back when he was able to do it. 2.6 million. It looks low, but again, remember, it was just so much cheaper back then. We didn't have guys getting moves for 200 or even really 100 million back then, and now that seems to happen with every single transfer window multiple times. He's a 3-time MLS All-Star and has won a Supporter Shield, US Open Cup, and recently won the Leagues Cup. His international minutes were the most of any homegrown player that I looked at, 4,500 national team minutes. And we could sit here and argue all day if you'd like about whether or not those are justified minutes, but the man has been a staple in the national team for years. So it was easy for me to put him at 3. And I was happy to hear that he was, I think, top 5 for you, right? He was number 5.
He was number 5. Yep.
Good.
I'm okay with it. I'm cool with it.
I hope people don't just focus on recent DeAndre Yedlin. I hope people remember what he brought to the table when he was with Seattle, because he was electric.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.